Sup everybody? Welcome to Ralph Reads, brought to you by TURN, the United Ronin Networks. My name is Ralph Anthony Garcia, also known as R4, the legal, the loyal, the regal, the royal, Ronin Ralph, your master of ceremonies. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, join the channel starting at 99 cents per month for exclusive members-only content. Tell a friend to tune in to TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Tonight on Ralph Reads, we discuss the misadventures of the man known as Little Willie the Barber, or as by his given name, Andrew Stonewall Jackson, in this rarity, Gentleman Pimp. We're gonna waste no more time because time is money. It's cloudy when I'm broke, and I love it when it's sunny. Even in the rain, I'll do my thing, I'll never do any less. Let the reading commence. Chapter 15. Satin and me split the town, passing through the Ohio toll gate into Pennsylvania and on into Jersey. And from Jersey, we passed through the tunnel that joins Jersey to Manhattan. Once in Manhattan, I called the High One, an old pal who I grew up with in Detroit. He wised me to a hip hotel in Lower Manhattan. And while me and my one rib were driving to the hotel, I was looking things over. Satin went ape when we rolled through the Great White Way. Satin worked 111th and 8th Avenue for a while, and then I put her in a hotel in Lower Manhattan on Lexington. But after a while, that got to be a drag to her.
Damn, this is Monday night, and of all the nights in the week, Mondays is the one I hate the most. God knows I hate to be there on Mondays.
Monday is just another day, I said. What's so bogue about that day down there? I thought it was the day you had that sweet paying freak.
It is,
she said.
And even though he gives me a bill and a half, it's gonna take him so long on the cash before he reaches a.
What's wrong with that? I asked. All the freak does is watch you and the guy f***s while he runs off a batch.
Ain't nothing wrong with that,
she said.
It's just the fact that his f***men smells so damn bad. Plus his f***men got a big fist raised that gotta be washed because it stays loaded with duck butter and stinks like hell.
Baby, let me hip you to something. You gotta read into this act just what's there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But this man, he smells so damn bad till I feel like I'm gonna pass out from smelling the for 15 minutes till the freak reaches a out. And Daddy,
she went on to say,
what do you mean I gotta read into the act just what's there?
Now, baby, I said, put this on tape. You're gonna run into many far-out freaks while you're at the hotel. So try and make it your business to get the inside story on the nature of them all. Now, Satin, the nature of this guy you gotta see tonight is a sadistic one. Baby, he was cheated at birth by not having a d when he was born. Instead, he was given a so he gets himself a f***man that has a bullhead to do his f***ing for him. Satin, the fellow likes seeing pain brought to a female. That's why the guy with the is his paid f***man. Sweetheart, you can cut the 15 minutes down to 4 or 5 by satisfying his nature and not him.
What do you mean, Daddy?
She asked. Darling, you gotta give him what his nature wants him to have. By that I mean, let him see you suffer while his damn is putting it to you. You already know how to keep him out of you, so all you gotta do is scream and holler like the guys. Mama, if you do this, I'll bet the 15 minutes will cut down to 4 or 5. Remember, Satin, the louder you scream and fight the quicker the paymaster will drop his batch.
Gee, Daddy,
she said.
How come you know so much about this kind of ish?
Satin, my love, I said. It could very well be because your daddy is a freak himself. Baby, it's the same thing when a cat, it's not the cave he wants. If it were a pound note, would take care of that form, and he'd have his pick of choice bitches to choose from.
Stony,
she said.
If a guy was here, it's gotta be the trim he wants. But he is just a sick person.
Sick? That's right, I said. But not sick just for her son. Baby, the guy gets his off from he likes to see the woman protest. That's the time he out. Mama, should you ever get stopped by one of those fiends, don't fight it. Just tell him to come on and get it. And you could damn near make book on it. He'll forget the whole damn thing. A person's nature works in a lot of strange ways, baby. Get wise to the nature of a person, and little mama, you've got him hook, line, and sinker. Try to learn the whole card of all the tricks you have. They all got one. Satin finished dressing, and I took her to her spot in Lower Manhattan, sat her out at her hotel, and told her if I wasn't by to bring her home, I'd dig her when I got there, and I split. I was heading for the Bronx. I had to get a rundown on the star of my life, Corrie, and I still had her mom's address, and if she was in New York, her mother would be the one that was sure to have a make on her. After reaching 157th Street off Jackson Avenue, I found a place to park and went up. Mom and me were pretty tight. She had received me with a real warm embrace and told me Corrie wasn't in. I had to talk through her sisters to get Mom to understand what I was saying. You see, although they were black, her mother was unable to speak the American language. They were Cuban. And if you saw them standing on a corner, you'd swear they were all black. Zig. The sisters saw to it that Mom received my honest, warm regards. And I asked the kids to tell Corrie that I was in New York and wanted to see her. When I got home, I took a fat fix and got in the bathtub. I wasn't out of the tub but a few seconds when the phone rang, and before I could say a word, a voice on the other end said,
"Hi, el tipo chulo,"
which means fine guy in Spanish. "Corrie," I said. "How are you, mamacita? Your voice sounds wonderful. What are you doing right now?"
"I'm fine,"
she said.
"How are you? And how long you been in New York?"
"Sweetheart," I said, "I've been in New York close to a week now."
"A week? And again, you just got around to looking me up?"
"Well, Corrie," I said, "you know how we parted in Detroit."
"Yeah,"
she said.
"And you know why it was that way."
"Well, sweetheart," I said, "that's yesterday's headlines. And ain't nothing as dead as that, is it? Today, now, this moment, that's where it's at. Today, my love, is the very first day of the rest of our lives. Tell me, who's the lucky guy in my girl's life now?"
"No, fellow,"
she said.
"I've been out of the life since I left Detroit. Just a woman taking care of her 2 kids.
"Crazy. Then there's nothing in the way of our having dinner tonight, is there?"
"Nothing,"
she said.
"Nothing at all."
"Righteous, baby," I said. "I'll pick you up at 9. We could go to that little Spanish restaurant we like so much, the one in the village. Can you recall it?"
"Swell,"
she said.
"I'll be looking for you."
Chapter 16. A little while later, we reached the restaurant. It was a bohemian kind of place with dust all over the pictures that were on the walls. Wine bottles hung from the ceiling on strings. Cheap candles were on the tables, and a group of Cubans played music. Many nights after I dropped Satin at the hotel, I'd stop by here and relive moments of our togetherness. And now here she was, sitting with me at the same table, and the stage was set. To any other than a New Yorker, this restaurant will seem like a greasy spoon, but to people in the Apple, it was far from it. The food was delicious and expensive, and Corrie enjoyed every moment we were there. We left and made a few stops at bars along Broadway, and it was in a bar not far from Birdland that we found all the drinks our friends had bought for us had turned us upside down, so we split. Back in the car, I hit on Corrie for a shot of her Cuban desert dish. She looked at me and said,
"Well, how about that? The big, cruel, hard man wants to give away some d***. Stony baby, when did you stop selling it?"
"Come off it, bitch. It's like I told you. I'm stuck on you too."
"How?"
she said.
"You told me that more times than I can remember, and I know it's bullshit, but I like it."
"Now tell me," I said, "just why is it bullshit when I'm the one that says it? It happened to you, didn't it?"
"Yeah,"
she said.
"it happened to me, but I'm a woman, and a woman can fall in love. But a man? Well, it happens, but not to your kind of man."
"Listen," I said, "and I think we went through this back in Detroit, but just in case we didn't, I'm gonna say it one more time. Baby, for every kind of person on this earth, there's a mate for him. Now, there are many men that would rather die than take money from a woman. And to have his woman selling her body is out of the question. Now you're a and it's not by choice, it's nature. Corrie, you'd be quite lonely if God hadn't put your kind of man on this earth, and that's a man that could have you and love you just as much as any woman gets loved. Corrie, that kind of man is called a pimp, and that's I, your guy, Gemini. Sweetheart, me and you are as we are because of a power much stronger than your own. And since we are as we are, the best thing for us to do is accept it and be as happy as anyone else. So let's stop acting like two kids and try and make it work this time. What do you say?"
"Stonewall,"
she said.
"any girl that gets tied up with you is in a whole lot of trouble. She no longer can think for herself, because you'll be the one that thinks for her. Right now, I don't know what's happening."
"You know, as well as I do, what's happening," I said. "You're coming home with me and have me like you've never had me before."
"There, you see? You already starting to do my thinking,"
she said. "Bullshit! You know, as well as I do, nobody can do another person's thinking. You're as hungry for me as I am for you. And baby, that's why you're going with me. Corrie, let's stop talking about nothing and let's go each other."
"Well, Stony, I'm helpless. I don't want to use her bed. Let's go to a hotel."
We drove to a small hotel east of 7th Avenue on 118th Street and checked in. Once in the bed, we savagely ripped each other off, and God knows it was a treat from start to finish. If you never had with a Cuban girl, I've got to say, you've been missing a real ball. I guess it's the wild animal way they act when they're putting it on you that gets to you. And when one of them reaches a amount, the changes they go through are beyond expression. I could rap about it to you for a month, but I guess you just have to be on a set to dig it. And if a Cuban bitch cares for you, a new world will open up to you. And our insanity was over. We talked and she told me she'd come out of retirement just to give me 1 year of her priceless time. I sent her to work in the house in Hartford, Connecticut. I took Satin out of the hotel like I told her. Satin picked up 3 beefs in 6 months, and since the high one was an undercover bondsman, he raised her each time. I was still juggling drugs and doing a little bit of everything to get a buck. My habit had got to be a New York oil burner, and that's a motherfucker. Believe me, I was throwing a lot of rocks to keep myself ahead of Joe Chink and to get me a fat bankroll. You already know I was a CC&I man, and I was changing cars twice a year for 7 years. A paper top in the summer and a hard top in the winter. And at the same time, I'd be going to the bank every day with not less than $30. If I'd miss a day, I'd double it the next day. I was doing a little bit of everything to keep me in the lead on Joe Chink. And my dearest and most worthy reader, I did it, or I'd be in the penitentiary somewhere. Satin copped another beef, and this time the high one raised her, but she had to do a 3-year bid. Carrie was still working in Hartford and came to the Apple twice a month. Soon Carrie got sick, and I had to sit her down. Now all I had going for me were the many things that I was juggling: drugs, queer, hot furs, vines, diamonds, shows for the freaks that wanted to see 'em. I had 2 girls, sis that put on the shows, and I paid 'em all with queer 20s. If there's a room, I'll tell you about me and a white boy playing police. And take it from me, this white cat really knew how playing cop really goes. He had more nerve than a toothache, 'cause he'd lock 'em up in one of the many jails just to give 'em time to think about the real thing, or till their habit got next to 'em and they were ready to see things our way. Yup, he was truly a cop, and I'd make book on it that he'd fool you. Yeah, my bread was long, really long. I had 3 plush apartments, one in Manhattan, one in the Bronx, and a hideaway apartment in Long Island. All were plushly laid out, and I was able to put my hands on 75 big ones whenever I wanted to. I was indeed able to take care of Satin Doll's needs while she did her bit, and quite able to get Carrie all the penicillin she had to have to fight her thing. Yeah, old Stonewall was now in the major league as far as chips were concerned, and even though I didn't pimp up on it. Then one day, a pal from Detroit showed up and wanted a kilo of stuff, and he wanted it to be a 9-to-1. Well, that was no sweat. I knew where I could cop a stand-up 20 if he wanted it. In fact, it was an 18 that I copped. I got his bread and went to my man's spot on Madison Avenue to get the Jones. When I got there, I used my knock to be let in by my man's rib. After I was in the duplex suite, my contact came out the bathroom, removing his mask. We spoke and I stated my business. There were 2 other men and 2 females in the place. The 3 men were hooked up and wore their guns police style. The duplex was well laid out, and everything in it was plush. I had come during a time when the stuff was being cut, and although I've been around drugs of all sorts over half my life, I'd never seen as much dope in one place before. The bathtub was damn near filled. The sifter was a window screen laid across the tub, and the mixing spoon, now dig this, was a fireplace shovel. Now you tell me, was that stuff? When he served me, it wasn't taken from the tub, and it was indeed an 18. Since my people wanted a 9, I sat right down and cut it in half, so they could get their 9, and I'd also have a 9 for myself for free. If you know anything about dope, then think about yourself getting a kilo of 9-to-1 stuff for nothing. The amount of bread it would cost you would stagger the mark that gigs for a living. It cost my Detroit people 20 grand, and once it's cut, it will be 9 times that much. And I got the same thing for myself for nothing. Plus, I was given a piece of cocaine from the contact, and the cats I copped for gave me 2 grand for the turn. Plus, I had over a grand in my kick when I turned the deal. Yeah, oh Lord my God, was I in top-notch shape. I was fixed for life, and fate once more dealt me a fool's hand, and I, like a sucker, played it, and ended up in Sing Sing prison. Now dig this, it's just like it happened. When I got back with their stuff, I hipped them to pull up stakes and see the apples some other time. I told them since they had what they came for, it would be dizzy for them to get cracked just because they wanted a taste of the apple. They dug the wisdom in my words and they split. I was now on my way to the pad I had in Manhattan on 85th Street between Riverside Drive and West End Avenue. But when I got to 108th Street in Central Park West, I remembered a guy owing me $3 for a seal fur coat, so I stopped to get my chips. I put the dope under the front seat and went into the building to get my bread. I got it and left thinking how wonderful it's going to be to lay up for a month. When I got in my car and was about to turn it over, both doors opened and a .38 snub nose was placed in my ear.
Hold everything and don't move.
I thought it was just another stick-up. But after getting downtown, I learned that the building that I went into to get my bread was being staked out by the narco that were trying to catch any coming out with drugs. Since it would have been a meatball bust had they got someone like they were waiting for, it could have turned into a sale for the pusher if the junkie had allowed him to turn him around. Me and my man had played this thing many times, but this was the real thing. I was busted, and it was a 1751, which was a felony. At this time, anything over a quarter of an ounce was a felony, and anything under a quarter of an ounce was a 422, a misdemeanor. Well, this shit I was cracked with was indeed a felony. I was charged with felonious possession with intention to sell. I learned the that busted me said in their write-up,
he had large sums of money and couldn't explain his livelihood.
And I was given 1326, which means 1 year, 3 months to 2 years and 6 months. Since my man, the high one, had raised me on bail, I was able to bring Satin and Korea up to date and what to look for. It tore him up, but not half as bad as it did me. Satin would be out before I would, and I wondered, would she stick and stay? If love's a battlefield, I'm never at war. Tune in next time for more on Ralph Reads. I would like, or rather love, to thank you, queens and kings, fellow royalty, for stopping by. If you would like to leave a small donation or connect with me on social media, simply go to www.solo.to/RGMC2407. Go to the Art of Bounce podcast and subscribe over at YouTube, or follow the podcast on ForceFed Digital, whether it's on Amazon, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Again, tell a friend to tune in to TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Fellow royalty, pick up a good book, read a good story, and set your good self free. I appreciate you and I love you like cooked food. I will see you folks on the next edition of this Andrew Stonewall Jackson miniseries on Ralph Reads. A broke snassul he my shit cause of romance with no finance. Here's a damn nuisance.
You're listening to Force-Fed Digital. BX you heard.
You got what? I got stupid juice. I bust stupid moves.
Hello everyone. Announcing Bust Stupid Dope Moves is coming soon. What is Bust Stupid Dope Moves, you ask? It's dope moves being busted stupidly. Don't be a fucking idiot. Hit that subscribe, share, like, follow the podcast, or you can suck a fat. And by the way, you. Just kidding. Want to sound like a professional? The Merge Studio should be your next stop. A private, intimate environment by invite only. Our engineer has years of experience mastering mixdowns, production, and beats. Available all in our one-stop shop of entertainment. Merge Studios. Let us help you sound the best, be the best, and beat the rest. Let's come together at Merge Studios.
Stay tuned for more audio readings of Rising Depth by Ralph Garcia and the Ronin Network. Get turned up with Turn. Check us out.
The United Ronin Networks and Phenomenal Books presents the audio reading of Rising Depth